Everyone, welcome to Two Dudes Snapping. My name is Nick the Greek Geek, and I am here with my phenomenal co-host Joe from Snap Decisions. Joe, tell everybody where they can find you.
Oh man, just about everywhere. YouTube. I have the podcast on Spotify, Apple, anywhere you can find a podcast. I'm on Twitter, and of course, we're now on BlueSky as well. So for those of you who want to break from all the Twitter drama, come over and check it out there. So yeah, that's pretty much where you can find me. I've had people saying, "Oh, I wish you were on Apple." I said, "I am on Apple. I just listened to it the other day in my car, so I'm pretty sure it is." But yeah. So anywhere that you can pretty much find a podcast, you will find the audio version. The video version, if you want to watch live, that is now going to be on my YouTube page, and of course also on Twitch, where I do have a Twitch account. So I stream from there on Tuesdays as well. So yep.
And we'll have all those links down below, so don't hesitate to go down and check them out. We'll have them all there. But yeah, it's Snap Decisions on anywhere, and mine it's Nick the Greek Geek on everything. So come and find us. Speaking of, I want to just take a second and put this up here. We both are on BlueSky. We are both enjoying BlueSky significantly more than we are Twitter, without any question. So all you need to do is scan this. Most phones nowadays, if you save the image and you press and hold on the QR code, it'll automatically take you there. So please join us there. We would love to see you on that platform. It's the same color. Everything else is virtually the same, except it's a lot less toxic. And I don't know about you, Joe. Well, actually, I do know. It's just nice to be somewhere that is not a hot dumpster fire. I kind of like that.
Yeah. It's Twitter has unfortunately gone downhill, and it becomes a lot of people saying a lot of nasty things, and that's kind of not how I want to spend my time on social media.
Nope. You get enough of that in your day-to-day basis, and, looking at the news, whatever. I prefer to keep my other stuff, just let it be peaceful, let it be quiet, let it be not filled with toxicity.
Agreed.
Lord knows. But how has your week in Snap been?
Better since I got over that little canyon that I dove into on my own thing. But I haven't hit infinite yet. I'm still at 96, but I have a little bit of a plan that I'm doing,
Okay.
and I ended up going playing Conquest a little bit. I'm messing around. What I like to do is, if I realize I don't necessarily have a favorite deck right now, I mess around with other decks just to get the feel of them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I've been doing. I think the deck that I'm going to probably end up moving forward with there is going to be the Toxic deck with Ajax and stuff, because I'm kind of enjoying it. But there's also some other ones in the thing. The other thing is I know so many people in that very first week. It would have been cool to say, "Oh, I made it to Infinite first week. I've never done that before." But I know a lot of people are kind of in that big race to get there in that first week. And usually when it dies off, you'll start to see that you'll get bots in the 90s at that point and stuff like that. So it does get a little easier. But yeah, no, it's been fun. I've enjoyed the new cards. I enjoyed my time with Surtur. And now that's probably coming to an end for the most part. But yeah, it's been interesting. It is very hard to figure out the meta, because you see so many different decks. There's so many, and that's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing when that happens. You don't have one static deck that everybody's playing. There's just a lot. You're seeing just a whole bunch of, like, I saw some Clog out there. I saw some Thanos, of course, is out there now. So there's just a bunch of different things that people are playing. And look, it does make it interesting, because you can't really focus on just beating one particular deck.
Yeah.
So yeah. All in all, it was a pretty fun week. I got caught up on my Conquest stuff, and I have all the points and stuff now that I'm going to need to get the variant and all that kind of thing. So yeah. Yep.
And that's a time sink to get those. Like I use Conquest. I hit Infinite, and I use Conquest and just use that to finish up, bounties and stuff like that. Because it's so daunting to look at a silver Conquest even and just go, okay, this might be 5 minutes, 5 minutes, each match, or it's going to drag out. And then you get very little purchase out of that. Obviously there's the gold tickets in the collection track, which don't get me started on that, but
I know that. Yeah, they need to go.
Yeah, those and
Yeah, they need to
avatars
go.
and titles and just like
Mm,
whatever. But you know, it's the meta is really interesting right now. I'm up in around I think 30 something hundred, which I don't know how I
okay.
got there. I was at like 6,000 a couple days ago because I hadn't been playing a ton, and then I just was screwing around with some decks, and I looked today and I'm like, I don't know how that happened, but it's interesting because every time I start the season, I'm like, oh god, am I going to miss the infinite train this run? Am I not going to make it? Because there's that part of me once I've gotten it, I need to have it every single month. It's
Mm,
just part of my identity. It's stupid, but it's just part of something that I need to do. And I find I my stress level drops dramatically the second I hit it, and I can just move on to other things.
yeah.
um I think there's that fear of, okay, well, if I don't get it right away, I have to get it. It's you know what it is? I think it's kind of like the basketball or baseball or sports good luck charm. Getting that first week, just getting it those first couple of days gives me that assurance that I'm going to do it. And if I miss that window, what happens? What if I don't hit infinite? Nothing happens at all, but my brain just yells at me. So
It's funny how people look at Infinite. I think I've come to a conclusion with it, and I might be different than a lot of people with it. I don't see. I never had the desire. Like when I hit it the first time, I was like, once I got the rank, I'm like, okay, I kind of lost some. It kind of lost some luster for me because I had no real desire to move up. It doesn't matter to me. Like I just a rank like that to me, it just doesn't matter to me at all. So I'm like, I don't care. And I got to the point where it's like, okay, well now what do I do? Because I made it, and then you're sitting there, and I was in like the 40,000s or 30,000s or something. It's like there's no way I'm going to get up to top 1,000 or top, that's just not going to happen. So yeah, so it's become a thing where it's like there were a couple of months now. I hit it last month, but the 2 months prior, I got into the 90s and never got to it and stuff like that. But yeah, everybody's different. That's the cool thing about the game. Everybody plays different ways. Different things are important to different people, and you have the capability of playing that way. And that's what makes it cool. It's not an There is no end game for Snap. There isn't. The end game is if you want to if your aspirations and goals are to be in the top 10 on leaderboard.
yep.
That's really the end game. But it's like if that's not a desire, then. But
Yep.
again, it's different for so many people because people who play Snap as a creator, then once you get to infinite, you can start messing around. You can play different decks. You can do all this other stuff. You can demonstrate the cards and all that without. Who cares? At that point,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Yep.
So, but yeah, it's to each their own. That's the best way you can have a game be, that everybody can just do different things that they want to do.
Exactly. And I think that's it, is having that mindset is so much better because it's just a smooth transition into enjoying the game that much more.
Mhm.
And there's no world where you want to have to stress out and feel miserable. This is supposed to be a game that we do for fun. And sometimes
Yeah.
I think, I know I definitely feel that. And I'm just stuck in a situation to where I'm frustrated and I'm angry. I'm like, wait a second, this is no longer sparking joy. And that is something
Mhm.
that I'm trying to embrace is I need to be able to enjoy this. And if I don't, then maybe I need to look at how I am experiencing this. And it's not bad. I need to take my own advice. We'll see what happens next season. We'll go from there. But
Mhm.
I'm there now. I'm having fun. I do need to put some time into Conquest, but it's just that I really have to put this time into Conquest. It's just so much
Yeah, and you know
work.
what? Once Deadpool's Diner comes out this week, nobody's
Yes,
going to be
that's
doing
true.
that anyway. So
That
everybody's going to
is
be
true.
playing the Diner. So it's like I said, it's just it's different for everyone. And I know a lot of people that get Infinite day one. I know people, and I've said on my show that it does take time. You
Mhm.
have to have the time to be able to devote in order to do it, because a lot of getting to Infinite is time. If you have 3-4 hours to sit down and play, then that's cool. If you don't, then that's cool too, and you
Yep.
you can just go about it your own way. And I know, my days with, well, you do a lot of
Mhm.
you do content creation yourself.
Yep.
So my days are my days off most of the time are spent doing this,
Yep.
are spent doing my other podcasts and stuff like that. And then the rest of the week, I basically get from when I come home from work until, until I go to bed, where maybe I can get some games in. So yeah,
Yeah,
everybody's situation is different. And that's, again, it's a good thing. It should be.
agreed. And it just creates just everyone's perspective on this is different. Everyone has a
Hmm.
different take. Everyone has a different feel. And I think if you can find that feel, I think you're in a much happier place.
Yeah.
I
And
see no issues with that.
what I've always said is do what makes you happy. Do what makes you happy. It's a game. It
Amen.
should be something that makes you happy. And if it doesn't, and you're getting tilted, or you get, and look, it happens to all of us. I had to do a public apology on my podcast this week. Because I was literally, when I was losing, especially when I'd lose, like I lost last turn so many times.
Yeah.
So many times when I'd lose last turn, I'd lose by a point or two, or by
Yep.
something stupid happening where my Hydra Bob would jump to the wrong lane or something like that. And I'm losing because of that. And then the person would emote me, and they do the little Venom dance, or the Spider-Man dance emote.
Yep.
And then the next thing I know, I'm like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And I hit the Ms. Marvel.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh. But we all do it. We all do it. It's part of a game. Nobody likes to lose. And you're raised as young children, from when you're playing. I was playing checkers with my grandfather, Monopoly, and all those things that we're raised to win. You're raised to win, and you can't always win. You're just not gonna. You're not gonna always win. You're playing against other players who are probably pretty close to your collection level, are probably pretty good players too in their own right. So the fact that you do get to infinite, or when you do get it, is an accomplishment, because I think Safety Blade brought it up once to me, because I started to get kind of down on myself about it. And he said, you know what? You have to remember, the people who do get to infinite are in a very small group. He said that's not like that. It could be in the millions, but that's small compared to how many people play this game.
Yeah.
And so he said, that's the upper echelon. So if you reach that, that's pretty damn good. So long story short, never feel bad about yourself. If you don't. And I always tell people, set goals that you can make. Set goals that you can make. If infinite is not in the cards for you because you just can't play that much, then don't make that a goal. Then say, you know what? Hey, I'd love to get to 90 to get 500 gold. Or I'd love to get, and Gunny T taught me that. Gunny T was the one who mentioned all that, and it's smart. Make your goals to the point of where you think you're going to get it, and then you'll be satisfied when you do. And if you get better or go further than that, then that's a bonus.
Yep. My other recommendation is, if you are trying to reach a certain target, like if you're trying to reach a higher rank, feel free to do so. But my recommendation is set a limit. So if you're in the 80s and you want to hit 85, say you're at 82, set a limit to 85. When you hit 85, stop playing. If you want to get to 90, set that limit to hit 90, hit that limit and stop. Take a break, because you don't want to get cocky. Sometimes if you're in a flow state, you have to make that decision on your own. It's like, okay, I'm doing really well. I'm hot. I'm not losing. Even once I'm in this rank, there's exceptions to the rule. But you don't want to be in a situation to where you slide back down. Never be in a situation to where you lose more than a couple of ranks at any given point in time. And if you start to lose more than that, like if you are at 87 and you find yourself at 82, take a break. Like just set it down and step away. And that has been the best advice that I've taken myself. And I slip too much, I take a few minutes break. It's hard to do, especially when you want to you see that goal right in front of you. You want to hit that goal, but just setting your phone down, stepping away, and doing something else can be super cathartic and can really help in that long run too.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I learned that lesson the hard way. The story was not, I got to 99. And I can't, when I play at night, and that's probably another not a great thing, because you're getting tired. And your body's starting to shut down. You want to watch mindless TV. Then you don't want to necessarily be playing a game you have to focus on. And I slid from that 99 because I wanted that infinite so bad. It would have been the first one I got. And I slid all the way down. By the time I put the game down at night to 87, I went all the way back down. And I could not, because at that point then I was just getting angry. And I'm like, nope, I'm not going to. And then you get into a mindset where you're like, I just want to, okay, I lost like 7, 8 games in a row. I just want to win a damn game.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen.
Yep.
You're already tilted. You're already in the state of mind where you're not focusing and stuff like that. But yeah, it's 100%. You'll hear that from the best players in the game. And I heard Lambie talk. Lambie talked about that all the time.
Yep.
It's the psychology of it. It's the, like Nick just said, getting away from it. And that's what I did. I'm like, you know what? I got back up to 96 and I'm like, okay, we're good. I'm going to go and I'm going to do something different for a little bit. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to play Conquest. I'm going to try the new cards out. And I'm going to try the OTA cards and all that. And yeah, so, and I'll get back to it. But, when I do, it'll be a different state of mind. And then you go back to it thinking what you got to do. Yep. It's not like Nick said too, you don't lose more than 1 cube. Simple as that. If you're in a bad matchup, you see the state of the cards or like, there's no way I'm winning this game. Don't convince yourself that you are. If you get that thought in your head that you are done, that you're going to lose, just get out. And then sometimes I realize even now I have bad matchups. There are certain decks I play that I have bad matchups. And if I go into an Arashim deck and I'm not prepared with any cards for it, and let's say they play a first turn Quinjet, I'm out. I just leave. I'm not going into that. So yeah, it's a lot of psychology really to this game.
Very much.
Yeah.
It's poker in a lot of ways. And
it is.
Losing 1 cube is better than losing 2. Losing 2 is better than losing 4, and losing 4 is better than losing 8. Sometimes, you get that 4 and you're just like, okay, I bet you I can pull this off. And you can't, but you convince yourself that you can because you've already got 4 cubes. You don't want to throw away 4 cubes. You don't want to, drop down a rank, but dropping down a rank is a whole lot better than losing 8. Losing 8 is such a defeat and it feels so bad.
Yep.
You want to avoid that. Have as few 8 cube losses as possible. The people that do get into infinite super early and super high and, aren't facing tons and tons of bots, those are the people that don't lose 8 cube. And, every now and then, if it is a situation to where it was something that you absolutely could not plan for and you lose an 8 cuber because of, a point or just something dumb happened, that's going to happen. But you don't want to go in and accidentally lose 8 cubes. And that's one of the things that I think took me from hitting infinite sooner was because I would make stupid decisions and I don't want to do that.
Yeah, and you see some of the biggest streamers do it. I watch Binks a lot. When Binks sees he's in a bad matchup, yep, I'm out. Like he gets toward the end and they're just looking at it and they're like, and oftentimes, they've got their chat there and they're like, what do you think, chat? Do you think I should bounce from this one? So they get a little bit of an extra hand with the people that are watching. But yeah, it's that's what it is. I go back to the song "The Gambler" by Kenny Rogers. You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. Exactly. Know when to walk away and know when to run, and that's how it goes. So, yep,
you are completely right. And I think going with that mantra, and hey, you know what? Hop into someone's chat, hop into somebody that's streaming, that's approachable, and talk it through. Most of us that are streaming are thrilled to hear how people are doing on their climb to infinite. If Joe is it's a Tuesday and he's doing his podcast, I know he will take the time to, give you encouraging words or whatever. That's what we're here for. And, if it's not Twitch, there's Discords, there's, BlueSky. We're going to focus on the good stuff, but you can go there, you can talk to people and you can get some advice, some encouraging words, some support.
Yeah.
If you want to talk, you've got those options. Most of them have voice chats as well. So just be kind to yourself and be patient with yourself and it will pay off in the long run.
Yep. No doubt.
Now, I think that's enough about our journey in Snap. I think we need to talk about some more fun stuff. And I think we need to talk about some comic books. So.
Yes, absolutely. This is one of the big things we do on this show, and this is where a lot of this came from, right? So, yeah, I've got a Garth Ennis double header here this week. I've got Preacher and of course the Punisher. I was never a big Punisher reader, although I have to tell you a quick little story. I did own his first appearance until my mother gave it away.
Sounds about right.
Oh, it was in a Spider-Man book. I'll never forget it. The cover has Punisher hat with Spider-Man and a crosshairs
Mm-hmm.
on the very front cover. I own the book, and I'm like, oh my god, the book's worth a lot of money now.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is I really never read a lot of Punisher. I kind of got into it when the movies were coming out, right? So
Yeah.
you had a really bad one with Dolph Lundgren that was a made for TV one, which was very bad.
Yep.
He drives around on a motorcycle through the sewers. Why, I don't know. And his and the famous tagline in it was "The guilty will be punished," because he still had the accent
Of
back
course he
then.
did. Yep.
And then I saw the one with Thomas Jane and the John Travolta
Yep.
one. Which, look, and I know a lot of people look at that and they're like, yeah, that was a really tamed down Punisher. Well, it was. It came out. It was part of the movies that were coming out in Marvel back then, and they were, the scene I remember the most is when he's torturing, quote unquote, torturing a guy for information, and he's sticking a popsicle in the dude's back
Yep.
because he's saying that when he burns you, you just feel like it's freezing there, and he's trying to describe, and he's hitting him with a popsicle, and the guy's screaming his head off, and
Oh.
everybody's like, "Oh my god, this is so lame." But yeah, it went, and that brought me back to it. And then of course the Ray Stevenson one, which was very gory. And then you got the John Barenthal, which is probably the best one of them all, I think, so far. And he's coming back in Daredevil, which is awesome. But yeah, I got onto this book because of that. Again, the Mike, who owned the comic book store that I told you guys many times about, was one who said to me, "You got to check out this Garth Ennis guy. He's really good." And I started reading the Punisher series from them, and a lot of the good stories. So the Welcome Back Frank thing and all that kind of stuff
Mm.
was in all these. And Garth Ennis's art is very, very different, and he really brings out like darkness in characters
Mm-hmm.
really, really well. And the same thing goes with Preacher. Preacher's extremely unique. They made a series of it. You can go and watch it on TV now. And what a concept for a book. It is kind of a horror story or horror book, but it's about this. It's basically about they call it Genesis. It's basically about a god who his essence escapes and ends up coming to Earth, and then it's given to this preacher who was in a small little church in the South, and he ends up getting the word. They call it the Word of God, and basically when he speaks and uses this, he can make anyone do anything. And let me tell you, in the book, he does. There's some scenes in that. There's a character in it whose name is Arseface. Okay, the reason that his name is that is because he basically made him do something to himself that kind of made him look that way, and it was it's so out there. He travels around with a prostitute and a vampire. That's his group that he has.
Yep.
The vampire is Scottish. The prostitute's basically his girlfriend, and they just go and in essence, what happens is God wants the essence back. So he basically ends up getting an avatar who is technically a cowboy, much like John Wayne. And this cowboy ends up chasing him down, but he's got the powers of God that can try to deal with him. But it's a bonkers comic book, and very gory, a lot of gore, which Garth Ennis is good at too. He does draw a lot of blood and guts. So if you're not into that kind of a thing, you probably want to avoid it. But yeah, if you're ever wondering, and now the TV series was good, but
Mm-hmm.
very much more tame. They
Yes.
couldn't go into a lot of the things that they went into in the book. So I would tell you to read the book and then watch the show if you really want to. But yeah, it was a surprising book that I never really, one of those things where, again, Mike recommended to me as he used to do all the time. Hey, you might like this. But I really did. I enjoyed this. I read it to the end when it finished. I forget how many issues it ended up as. It wasn't
It was a
yeah,
decent amount considering.
it went up to maybe 50, 60, I think, total.
Mm.
I think. I don't think it got past. Maybe I'm wrong. I may not be remembering correctly. I'll have to look it up at some point later. But both of them are very good. Again, if you like the Punisher, Garth Ennis's run, I think, is pretty much the descriptive Punisher that you would probably want to read. And then, of course, like I said, if you're into kind of a little more horror stuff, a little more, God versus the devil and all that kind of stuff, a little bit, you may want to give Preacher a look too. But again, go into it knowing you're going to get a lot of F-bombs, you're going to get a lot of blood, guts, and gore, and in Preacher, you're going to get a lot of sex thrown in there too. So just go into that knowing what it is. But both were very much, I didn't think I'd be reading Punisher in the 90s or early 2000s. But I really enjoyed it, and I got some of these in graphic novel form because the comics had been out already a little bit too long for me to get the original copies. And Preacher I had collected since about maybe 5 issues in, but I was able to go back and get the other issues pretty easily. So, but yeah, it's they kind of all shape you, these books, in a certain way. And yeah, that's but these were another 2 picks that were a little out there, but I enjoyed both of them.
Well, and I think about it, especially with Preacher, like we wouldn't have The Boys if Preacher didn't.
Oh, absolutely
exist.
Not. Yep, and Garth Ennis does that too. Yeah.
Yeah. What I find interesting though, like I love the art of The Boys because I'm a huge fan of Derek Robertson. He's one of my favorite artists, and he's one of the nicest human beings that I've ever had the chance to spend time with. But the storyline just didn't connect with me. It was just a little too dark, but I found Preacher had a lot more humanity in it, the comic itself. I remember reading it and being so much more compelled with the complexity of emotions. The Boys was just a whole lot of, The Boys almost just seemed cynical about superheroes, which obviously that's the conceit behind it. But I think the show is able to balance that out. And I loved the actor who played is Joseph Gulen. I do not know how to pronounce his last name. Or Gilgan. He took over in Misfits for Robert Sheehan's character. And I hated him in Misfits. I despised him because I was such a fan. But when we watched Preacher, we went back to Misfits and I was like, oh, the story's still not as good, but I don't dislike him. He was so good in the series, and he is such a phenomenal actor that he really killed it as the vampire in Preacher. Like
he stole the show in that he really did. Yeah,
they had a killer cast though. Like that cast was unbelievable. I love Dominic Cooper as I think he was great cast as a Preacher, and Ruth Negga is an amazing actress, and I thought she also did an exceptional job. But
they did. Yep. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
It's a good series.
Yep.
Garth
no,
Ennis.
I was just going to say Joseph Gilgan. Yeah, he absolutely killed it in the role. Yeah, he Pip Torrens was in that too, and he played the guy later on that he feuded with, the shorter bald guy. That was more toward the end of the show. But yeah, the cast is phenomenal, and they did the book justice. I mean, it was very very close to the book. It got a little off track at the end, the very end of it. The last season didn't follow the book so much, but it was done pretty well. It was done pretty well.
But yeah, read the comic first. Some of the most interesting art in the comics. Like, I am not kidding you. It is really dark and gritty. It's similar to Sandman, but I find it is different in a better way, honestly. Like, you just look at the cover, that's the kind of stuff that you're going to get into. There's a lot of detail, just a lot of depth to the images. It is 100% worth a watch. And just to confirm, it is 66 issues plus a 4-series mini-series, and then a 5-series, 5 specials and a 4-issue mini-series. So you've got a decent number, but not a crazy amount. Yeah, there exactly. Like, look at that.
That's Preacher and the Saint of Killers. That was his name. And the one that was modeled after the cowboy and had the godlike powers. So yeah.
And that was Grant McTavish, I think, in the TV series.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, he's so good. He is such a good actor as well.
Yep. I was on AMC actually when it premiered.
I remember,
which is kind of crazy. And now you can stream it. I believe it's on AMC Plus. I know that for sure. But it was somewhere else too. I'll have to look that up too. It was on another streaming service I saw too that had it. But Yeah, it's definitely worth it. Check it out.
Yep.
But like like Nick said, read the books first. I think you'll
Yes.
enjoy the books first.
And it's a short read. Like 60
It
sounds
is.
like a lot, but
Yeah.
honestly, that's a couple hours worth of reading at the most,
Hmm.
depending on how quickly you go. So
Yep.
I think it is worth taking the time to. It's a very interesting story. It's very dark, but in a good kind of way. But yeah,
Hmm.
preacher's worth it, 100%.
Hmm.
Now, for my choices, I know we talked about this on your show, but I wanted to bring it up
Yeah.
on this one. Hellboy is one of those comics that is a touchstone moment for me that really redefined my love of comics. It was Wolverine in the 90s. It was Sandman in the late 90s, early 2000s, and then it was Hellboy. Just blew me away. I was finally old enough to really be able to appreciate it. The stories are complex, the characters are complex, but they're not impossible to understand. They're very, very readable and very entertaining. The action scenes are great. The art is phenomenal. Like Mike Mignola is probably one of my favorite artists of all time. So much so that, and I'll add this in post, but I have a tattoo of a commission that he did in at a Comic-Con in '09, and he's just unbelievably good. The stories are so cool. They cover, ancient history mixed with folklore and these mythological gods and monsters. And it's well written, it's well paced, it's entertaining, but it's also unique and different. And it's the kind of thing that can spur on an interest in looking up these, what is the term for it? It's the Lovecraftian horror kind of thing. And it is a horror comic in a lot of ways. It's not as dark and gory as a lot of horror comics, but it is very compelling and very interesting to read. I think have you read much Hellboy? Have you read all of it
I
or
I I got into that. I'm trying to think. I think I got into the comics after I watched the original movie. Um, I knew about it, and I remember seeing them in my friend's store, but I'd never really read them. And then once I watched the movie, which I really enjoyed, I'm like, yeah, now I have to go back and read the books. And the books, I'm really surprised I didn't read them sooner because the books do have a horror element to them. So there's a lot of, you have a lot of demons, you have possession in there, you have, the other stuff going on. So I was surprised I didn't read it sooner. But yeah, my brother-in-law is a huge fan of Mike Mignola. He loves his artwork. Probably models like more of the things than he does. He's an artist. He does some stuff. And he not his main job, but that's
yeah.
he kind of does it as a hobby. But he loves Hellboy, absolutely loves Hellboy. And yeah, it's good. I've liked everything I've read. When I read the origin story, I have that in graphic novel form.
Yep.
I love that. I enjoyed the how it all begins and stuff like that, and the whole how the devil's involved in it, and
Yep.
and then he's born and all that. So it was just very cool. I actually dressed up as Hellboy for Halloween one year,
Nice. You're
which
going
was
to
a
have to
very
send, I think you sent me that picture, but you're going to have to
yes.
send it to me again. And I am 100% going to include it right there.
It was a very funny moment because I had the arm.
Mm,
So I had the arm thing that you put over your one arm, and the fist with the band around it, and I went out and I found myself a gun that was like that huge
mm,
gun that he has, and had the mask, but the mask kind of only went over this part, so you had the horns here, and it just went over your face. And the funniest part about it was my wife and my daughter decided to paint my entire face red. When I went to the party that I went to, it was cold outside. So it was in like the probably 20s, maybe 30s. The makeup literally froze to my face. So I'm there at some point later in the night trying to speak, and I had trouble opening my mouth. Like that's how bad this
oh,
got. And all I could do was to wait to get, and I had to drive home. So I had to drive home with the
oh,
red paint all over my face because I couldn't do it at his house. I could not wait to get home and take that stuff off. And I went to the bathroom and I'm scrubbing my face for literally almost an hour trying to get all that. So there you go. So there's my Hellboy story. But yeah, I love the character, man. I do.
yeah.
I don't know if they'll ever make. I didn't see the new film.
Yeah. I love
obviously
David
saw the
Harbour, but yeah,
yeah, the David Harbour one was okay. But the first two are always going to be kind of near and dear. I like those the most. But yeah, I love it. I think it's a great book. It's a great read for anybody who likes comics.
and there's offshoots like the Amazing Screw On Head, which I
Hmm.
absolutely loved. It's just a little one shot, and it's well done. The character is super unique. It's worth your time. BPRD, I even enjoyed. I didn't read a ton of that. That was kind of at the tail end. My kids were starting to get old enough that I didn't have time to deal with that
Yeah,
stuff anymore.
yeah,
But it's well worth a read. He's such a good author and such a good artist that it's worth your time, and I think you'll really enjoy it.
yep,
So
absolutely.
and you can get it everywhere. You can get trades, you can get the
Oh
whole nine
yeah,
yards.
there's
It's
trade paperbacks of
yeah.
that all over the place.
And
Yeah.
I'll also shout out The Art of Hellboy, which is a phenomenal read. It goes into some of the detail on more
Mm.
of the art that was done and the historical aspects, because Mike would do a ton of research on these mythological beings before he would start writing about them. And I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
my second choice is another really, really weird one. It is Persepolis, and it is Marianne Satrapi's life in pre and post revolutionary Iran and her
Hmm.
journey to Europe, her journey through this very, very challenging time in Iranian history, the 70s and the 80s. And she had a family relative that was in jail for trying to just live his life. It has the origins of a lot of the reasons that Iran had struggled so very much. And it's her story of growing up during this, rebelling against it, and then trying to escape it once she got to her teenage years. She ran off to France and was able to come back and revisit all of this. The comic is phenomenal, but the movie that they made out of it is equally as good. It is probably one of the best translations from comic to film media that I have ever seen. And there have been some really
Hmm.
good ones. Invincible is phenomenal, but
Yeah.
this one is done so well. They're able to combine two graphic novels into a tightly packed movie that I could not recommend more highly. It is well worth your time. It is a phenomenal story, and it gives you a history about the Middle East that explains and shows you a lot of why things happened, why things became the way they did, and how just because somebody lives there does not mean that that is something that they agree upon and that they agree with and that they want to have happening. But under a dictatorship, you only have but so much control to be able to speak out with,
Oh yeah.
because you dissent and enough dissension and you get locked away or you get disappeared in some way, shape, or form. So I think it's a very moving story. It's very emotional and it's very well told. And the film version is equally as good. The voice actors are phenomenal. Writing is great, and the art is so good. I strongly, strongly recommend it. I don't know if you've ever heard of it or seen about it.
I haven't, but it seems, yeah, yeah. I mean, look, comic books, a lot of times they'll do things that are kind of either grounded in reality or, and we talked about this when I had Ree, Lauren, and Ben on,
Mhm.
because Lauren picked a book that was extremely personal to the author. And that's a lot of that is going to be what it is. That's what makes it the art form that it is. Because people not only express, yeah, sure, you could do the superhero things and you could do the fantasy and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of them want to use that medium or form to express things they've gone through in their own lives. And yeah, that's I never heard of it before, but it sounds like it's something that I might want to check out.
Yeah, I think you it would especially enjoy watching it with your kids. I think that it's that teenage spirit, and I know you have kids that are older than teens now, but I think it
Hmm.
just it spurs that on. And I think I found out about it because it had gotten a lot of accolades for the Academy Awards back in '07, and I'm really
Oh,
glad
okay.
I put the time into it, and it's been one of my favorite mediums, both. Like, I will read it, but I will also watch the movie because it's just really good. And it's all I love the black and white style. I think black and white is a medium that is shied away from too much, and I think it can bring so much in both
Yeah.
comics and in outside of that as well. So,
Yeah, I mean, black and white. Yeah, a lot of people use. I've said this. People that have watched The Walking Dead, that the comic was always in black and white until they went and colorized it afterwards. But it was written in black and white. And you would think something like that is bloody and gory wouldn't do so well in that medium, but it really did. And Walking Dead wouldn't be what it was if it didn't do it, and it
yep,
didn't do their non-colorized version. So yeah.
exactly.
Yep.
So, I think we're going to move on to one fun little bit where I've saved up my splits. I've told Joe this before. I like saving up my splits for being on the pod, and I've got hopefully some really good ones that we can get some good luck on. I'm trying to get this done before Splitsmas is over. So I've got a
And
fair
not a bad
few.
idea.
Exactly. Get it while the getting's good. That'll be our next topic. But for right now, I've got a few splits that I'm hoping for. What do you want me to start with? You pick, and I will start with it.
Yeah, let's try Doom there. I
All
have
right.
that Doom.
That is one of my favorite dooms. So let's see what we can get with this. Maybe I can roll a really good one. I would love a no. I mean, it's black and white.
See, I always take inked, man. I think I'm one of the few that kind of like the black and white. I always say this. The comics themselves were created in black and white
Yes.
before they were ever colored.
Yeah.
So to me, it's kind of like it's true form. The only thing I wish they'd make better is that black so you could see it.
Yeah.
The black that comes out, it just needs to be better so you could see the black coming out, because it
Yep.
would be cool if you could, like the black crackle and stuff like that. You just can't see it. So
Yeah, so I think the issue with this one though, like I have this split, so I'm not
yeah,
going to top this one. There's
right.
no world where I'm going to top this one, but you know, it's it's fine. I
It
can
would
live
look
with this
better.
one.
It would look better with gold.
And I
Yes, it
do
would
have a
look better
gold
with gold.
split, but
Yeah.
I don't think I've got, hold on. I've got the white crackle in gold, which is
Yeah.
this is
Oh, that's better.
I will
Yeah.
go in between the both of them. I would
Mhm.
love a green Kirby with this one, and I might still keep
Yeah.
going for it, but for now, I think we're good. I'm okay with another ink. That's fine. Let's get back out of here. Okay, who next?
Try the storm.
I do need a really good storm split. I am still trying to find a good one, so maybe we can get some luck with this. Maybe that I got to get the luck back, right? No, apparently I
Nope.
don't. That's terrible.
Nope.
All right. Well, all right. You know what? Pick the next one. We're gonna just do them all because I need to get them done. I need a good split up.
Doc Ock.
All right. I've got a good one. I would love a gold with a Kirby of some sort. And is this one gonna? Well, I mean, it's gold with blue, so
Yeah.
I've already got the gold. Well, yeah, that's fine. I'll take it. Yeah, I did the Electro specifically because you had talked about it, so I want to see how this
Oh
one goes.
man, yeah. The electro split that I have is sick.
Is there any chance that I'm going to get anything as good? I got gold. I'll take that.
Okay.
I got
Yeah.
an inked and a gold. That works for me. The Apocalypse, I've been desperate to try and find a good one. Now that I have the Jacinto, I have it in gold, but I want to get a Kirby on there. I don't know if that's going to happen. Oh, another gold with green.
Gold and
Really?
green. Now, see, you needed that for the electro.
I did. That would have
The
been much
gold
better
and
for the
green
Electro,
would be,
but
yeah, that's what, yeah.
no, apparently not. All right, I'm leaving the X-23 for last because I want a gold Kirby with her. And I don't expect anything good from this Magneto. I've split him a few times, but okay, never mind. I got exactly what I had wanted there. I will take the ink with a rainbow. That is some killer stuff.
Yeah.
I am okay with that. All right, so that's at least one. So can I get one more? This one's already good, but I would love a gold Kirby. I'm just trying her and Nico. I just need a gold Kirby on. There we go.
Gold and purple.
Gold
Okay.
with purple? That's okay. I would have preferred purple for something else, but I will take gold and purple with this. That is okay with me. The only problem is this one looks terrible with this border, and they don't have a... Oh, no, I don't even like it with that. What border do I put on here? I guess the gold kind of does work, doesn't it? I only have one gold border left. What am I supposed to do?
Purple doesn't really look good on X23A, you're right, but what are
No,
you
it
gonna do?
doesn't. Keep going, apparently, hopefully
I'm saying.
before Splitsmas ends, but I will leave her as is. We have some news on Splits that I think people probably have already seen. So Second Dinner has made a comment. They've confirmed that they are going to be giving compensation on splits. I find it interesting that they specifically mentioned some of these things here, that obviously they can't deliver the exact boosters during the period. It's just not feasible. But thinking about that as well from a grand scheme of things, that does seem like a large bar to cross to try and pull that information out.
Yeah.
But the part that I did not love that they included as part of the compensation criteria was the variant and border as previous compensation, which I don't know how much they value those as, but I know they tend to favor heavily the value of borders when I don't think everyone else is in that same boat.
Yeah.
And it's tough. I kind of wish they could have had targeted boosters for the ones that we use the most of, because I think it would be feasible to be able to see, okay, well, you used, 700 boosters for character whatever, give those back or give a portion of those. But I'm not a programmer, so I don't know. At least there is something happening, and these are the kind of general idea to where you're going to get. There seems to be a large chasm in between 6 and 7. I don't know where I will fall. I'm assuming it will be either 4. It has to be more than 4. But the problem is, if it's
Yeah.
45, that's going to really suck. And we'll never know.
You know what? I look at this as it's something else that was a win, I think, for everybody, because they were thinking that they were just going to stop with the other
Yeah.
with the X-Men 97 variant and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So you're going to get a bunch of credits really out of this. The boosters are great too, but I don't think I probably didn't hit 50. I don't think I did 50 cards. I doubt it. Any or 50 splits. I doubt that.
Well, we talked about
So
this. You're not somebody who is a massive card splitter. Like you are the person that has, 10,000 credits versus me who is credit poor at any
yeah.
given point in time.
Yeah, no, I don't. I kind of hang on to them. I only split the stuff that I really really like. I don't if there's cards that I don't play, like some of them I don't even have them split once.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends. If it's a card I don't really care about or don't really play much, it's not something I would do. So I would probably guess that I would get the 1,500 maybe in and
Yeah.
around there, and that's fine. I mean, it's 1,500 credits I wasn't going to get before.
Yep.
So look, at least the way I look at this is it might be a small victory for some people, and there are still some people. I just noticed while while we took that little pause there that Cam Best was talking to somebody on Twitter about it, and that person hated it. He absolutely hated it, and he said, "I know I'm going to get blasted for this, but I think this sucks." And then KM tried to tell him, they just differed in opinion.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I
Yep.
think that ultimately you're getting something for nothing, and that's usually always a good thing to me.
Yep.
So, but yeah, there wouldn't have been any right answer. I don't think.
No.
If they would have, if they would have come up with something different, there would have been people that would have hated it. So yeah, it is what it is. And God forbid they didn't do anything,
Yeah.
which a lot of people didn't necessarily think they would. That would have been probably not good at all. So they had to do something. They did, and we're going to get something out of
Yep.
it.
And what I will say is, I had hoped they were going to do something, but I don't think if people had spoken up about this is one of those scenarios where people speaking up and speaking
Mm-hmm.
up respectfully and in the right avenues and being
Mm-hmm.
clear about why they were frustrated is the
Yep.
reason why we are in a situation to where we've got this. It's not
Mm-hmm.
because people were angry and constantly yelling and whatever. This is a situation to where, civility and just being honest about the frustration pays off.
Mm-hmm.
And at least we've got something, because they were initially fine with just the variant and the border.
Yeah.
And this is a far, far path from that. And I will definitely take this.
Agreed. Yep. Same here.
Now, before we move on to the next Before we move on to the next topic, one of the things that Joe and I are trying to do is we want to get caught up. As we've explained, our schedules can be a bit crazy, and trying to match up, especially on different coasts, can be a little bit difficult. So we could have either just finished off the last day or two of this week, or gone on to do Fenris Wolf and the cards that are coming out next week. And we both decided that that's probably the best option. We're going to talk about Malekith, but there's not a lot to talk about with the card. It has existed. It's definitely a card that provides some interesting moments, especially in something like Discard or Affliction, or, Destroy, even like Destroy with Nimrod. There's some potential there, but it's a card that's a weird cost, that's a weird spot, and I've yet to see a deck that is better because he's in it. It's almost like one of those win more cards. So he's a 4/6 on reveal. Add a 1, 2, or 3 cost card from your deck here. It reveals at the end of the game. There's certain areas where it can be really beneficial. Pulling out a Sage for last turn play can be really great. But obviously I had to get my weekend missions done, and I spent a lot of energy trying to get it to work in something like a Wiccan deck, and it did. I got my missions done with that, but it would pull a Kate Bishop. It would pull, if it pulls a Hood, you're not happy. I mean, you're not going to be running this in a deck where Hood is going to be an option. You're going to have it with impactful 1 cost, 2 costs, or 3 costs. But it can be challenging to be able to build a deck to where that actually works out. What about you? Did you get Malekith? I can't remember. I think we talked about this. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I get every card. It works well in the toxic deck that I had it in. But again, can you play it without him? Probably. He just most of the that was the key, right? You have to play a deck that's going to have impactful 1, 2s, and 3s. Mm-hmm. If you don't, you're going to hide a card that isn't going to matter and probably isn't going to have much impact at the end of a game. Now, in that deck, you can hide he can hide a silver sable that's going to get some power at the end of the game. He can hide a Luke Cage that maybe your opponent, and that happened with me. My opponent that I was playing, I was basically hurting my own cards because I was playing, I have US Agent out, but I'd still have a 4-cost card on that lane. I'd have a Man-Thing on that lane. So that was taking the damage from the US Agent. So I'm basically playing that I need the Luke Cage. And if I don't get it, I'm kind of screwed. But then he ended up pulling the Luke Cage. So, it does allow you to kind of see ahead in your deck. The other thing it does is it does what Chavez used to do. It's a deck thinner.
Yep. And
sometimes if you build the right kind of deck, like Chavez used to be in Galactus decks back in the day, because it would thin your deck. You knew you were going to get those cards you needed more than you would think you normally would if that wasn't already thinning your deck. So yeah, I haven't had a ton of experience with him. I've only really played him in that toxic deck. I've seen other people trying him in Surtur for whatever reason, which that I really don't know why. I guess maybe to hide one of the smaller cards, or maybe you're just using it as a deck thinner. But yeah, I don't, it's deck thinners are always enticing in the game because you're just going to be able to pull better cards. But is he worth it? I'd have to say probably not. He's definitely not up there. He's not one of the best cards of the month. Surtur's better than him for sure. Yeah. I would say, in my opinion, because I haven't really played much with Frigga. So in my opinion, him and Frigga are kind of maybe on the same level right now. But I think we're getting better cards this month that are going to be better than both of them. And one we're going to talk about in a little bit, and another probably in Gore the God Butcher, I think is going to probably be better than both of them. So yeah. If you are collection complete, and obviously you're going to get it no matter what, like I do, then get it. I definitely don't think I would waste any spotlight keys on this though. They're too important, and now you got to kind of think about Marvel Rivals coming out next month, and you got to think about the January season. If there's cards in there that you really think you want, and a lot of them do look more powerful than he is. So that's kind of what you have to consider. I actually used tokens this time to get it.
Smart.
So I didn't burn any spotlights for this.
I think that's wise. There were a couple good variants, but I don't think they're good enough to have gone that level with. So I think that's wise, and I'm the same. I think he and Frigga have the same problem of the fact that they are awkward to play. It's an awkward cost slot. You know, Frigga at a 3 is awkward. Him at a 4, unless you're hiding something that's, again, really impactful at the end of the game. And if you've got all of your 1, 2, and 3 costs in your hand, or the only ones left in your deck are something like in my situation, Kate Bishop, it's not necessarily the most beneficial. Yes, the thinning is good, but I haven't seen it successful enough that it would be worth your tokens. Now that could change, obviously, but yeah, I think for now, I think it's a skip. And if you are going to do it, just be aware of what you're getting yourself into. There's a couple videos out. I know Glazer has put out a video on Malekith and the weekend missions, but there's some creators that are really big on it. I'm not one of them. He's fine, but no, I don't see him as a card that really gets you that win. He might help, but I don't know if he's the winning card.
Yep, agreed.
Now, moving on to the card coming out this week, we have Fenris Wolf. And this is an activate. So he's a 2/3, activate, resurrect the highest power discarded or destroyed enemy card to your side of this location. Now, I'm pretty positive, I don't know if the devs have answered this specifically, he won't work with something like Apocalypse. He will work depending on how you time it, because remember with activate, you need to play the previous card, then activate him. So if you want to Shang target and bring it back with Fenris Wolf, you play Shang, then you activate him, then you end your turn, kind of thing. You cannot, I think when he first was announced, my brain was just like, oh, he's just an on-reveal card. That'll be fun. But he being an activate card, he also needs to be played previously. So you can't play Shang and him on the final turn and have a really good gotcha, but you can play him down. You can bring back that destroyed card. I think this one's going to be interesting. I don't know if it is going to be the best card. It's kind of nice talking about this in advance because we don't know how it's going to go. I haven't seen people play it. I haven't played it myself. What are your thoughts about it?
If Shang was as prevalent as he was before, this card would be a must own. But yeah, I think this card's going to play it. And that I'm only saying that because they have a slot there, right? Where, a lot of them, the 1 card, the 2 card, well, you have Scorn now, which is generally the 1 card. The 2 card is generally Morbius. That would end up being played. But if you play a different version of this card, if you play the Black Bolt discard, so Black Bolt Stature discard deck, maybe Moon Knight as well, then it would be worth it because you can then discard something from their hand, especially Moon Knight, because he discards even cards. So a lot of them are going to be possibly bigger cards. And then destroy as well, where how do you destroy enemies' cards? Well, Shang-Chi is a big one there. So if the meta would have been shaped up where Surtur would have kept going the way it was, this would have been a better card. And maybe that's what they kind of envisioned with it. It would be kind of a Surtur counter. Because at that point then you could just kind of play. I don't know. I don't know that this might not be and they're out there, right? Sarah Tech. I don't know if this might be just a good card in Sarah Tech.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have a Shang in that deck. So this might just be an extra card in Sarah Tech that you can put in there as a 2, and you can just go to town and just blow something up. You're going to get it, and so maybe it goes into tech decks. But when I first saw this, I was kind of thinking that this might be the best card of the month. But then when you kind of think about it a little more, and you look at what it says and the fact that it is an activate card, what happens if those conditions aren't even met? which that could be too. You
Yep.
might not discard a card from their hand, or you might not destroy something that they have. If you're going in there with a Shang and they don't play anything, well, it's not going to do anything. It's just going to kind of sit there. So, yeah, it's something where you don't control the conditions. Your opponent does. So whatever they've got, you kind of control. Now you can control the discard part of it, but yeah, I mean, sure, you can destroy other things with a Killmonger, right? You can destroy stuff on your opponent's board, but what are you going to get back? You're going
Yeah.
to get a 1/2 card back.
Yep. And is that
So
worth the squeeze?
right,
Like, that's the
right,
problem is, if you use something like Lady Deathstrike, you're going to get something back with power lower than 3. You could
yeah,
use Silver Samurai and hope for a blob or hope for an Iron Man. You could use Black Bolt, but again, that's not the Moon Knight. I think Moon Knight and Shang are the
yeah,
best 2 options that you
yeah.
could utilize. And that's really limited as far as what you have to discard as well, because it's entirely possible there, especially that first week, everybody's going to be playing Fenris Wolf. So you play Moon Knight down, they just have that chance of getting whatever you discarded. And it's
You know
a,
where
it's a
this?
weird situation.
Do you know where this might end up fitting? Ironically enough,
Hmm.
Arsham.
Yeah.
Because how many times when if you're playing an RSM, a lot of people, if they play RSM against you, they're going to have big cards. They always do. They're always going to have a blob. They're always going to have an Alioth or some kind of bigger card in there. So if you end up killing it with that. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, when I first saw it, I was pretty excited about it. But now that I'm thinking, and I think this is a very meta dependent card.
Yep.
It's a very meta dependent card. If we're not in a meta where you're seeing big numbers out there, and I kind of thinking that may dwindle now that the Surtur thing happened.
Yep.
That may not be as big of a thing anymore, where people are playing the huge cards. And if you don't see that, what are you going to do? Like for the toxic deck that I play, the biggest card in that deck is going to be Ajax.
Yep.
And most of the time that's going to come out on turn 5. So if you don't Shang it on turn 5, you're not getting that.
Nope.
So yeah, it's it's funny. You look at these cards at the beginning and you rank them and stuff like that. And I know I ranked them for Glazer. But when I ranked it, I had this pretty high, but now I'm kind of like,
Ditto. The same. I'm sitting here thinking that I owe Glazer an apology, because he was like, this is going to be terrible. And I'm like, no, it's going to be great.
Yep. I don't know that this is going to be all that good anymore.
Yeah.
So
no.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I will say though,
go ahead.
is it's interesting. It's different.
Yeah,
it's another activate card
different.
that we've got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
yeah, it definitely is different. It's going to be a funny season. Yeah, there might be like a card like King Eitri or a card like Gore might end up being the best cards of the month.
100%. I need to apologize to Flash as well, because 100% Gore is going to be the best card of this month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With every, and again, it all goes with what's conducive to the meta, and just so many people play on reveals. So if a lot of people are playing ongoing, then Gore would suck. But because so many people play on reveals, and I'm seeing a decent amount of negative out there, and if people are playing negative now, oh man, that Gore is going right in that deck. So you're gonna see a lot of that, and but a lot of people are still playing Wong Black Panther on reveals. Yep. So if that's the case, Gore is going to be huge, and he's going to be the biggest card of the month for sure. So
yeah, I'm really interested in seeing.
We might be wrong. We'll see, but yeah, you'll have to be, like I said, I would be cautious at this point moving forward, because of the cards we are seeing from the next 2 months and how some of them look. Now, granted, they can get changed beforehand, but some of them look very, very strong. Yep. And so at this point, I would probably save up. If you're not one that's collecting every single card, I would maybe save up and maybe hold on to them unless you really think you're going to play a deck that's going to make use of this card.
And even then, still think about it. Is it going to be that successful in the grand scheme of things? Is this going to make the impact that you're really wanting it to?
Yeah.
And I don't know if that, I don't think any of the cards this month, the more I've looked at them, like Frigga's fine. And there are some homes where she is really good, but it's not like she's holding the test of time to where she is this 10 out of 10 card that you have spent good money on and gotten a good return out of. It's
Yeah.
not the case. So
Yep.
I think the more I look at it, this month outside of Gore is kind of really sad.
Yeah, it hasn't been as good as I kind of thought it was going to be when I first looked at the cards.
Which is a
Yeah.
shame. It's a
Yeah.
real shame.
Surtur's definitely the winner so far. I
Oh,
mean,
hands
Surtur's the
down.
winner so far, and they already nerfed it.
Yeah.
So that was the winner of the card so far. Frigga, even in playing, I'm not seeing anyone play it. I don't see anyone play that in my gameplay. I'm not really seeing many people playing Malekith in my gameplay. So far, the only one I'm seeing a lot of is Surtur, and so that just kind of goes to show you that these cards aren't really impacting the meta.
And that's a shame because you want cards that even if they don't shape the meta, I don't need every card to be a meta breaker, but I want cards to do something and to have an identity. And it doesn't feel like Frigga really has an identity. It doesn't feel like it's an understanding of where she belongs or where she fits best. And the same with Malekith. It's like, I understand there is the time to build them, but other cards in previous seasons have felt, okay, I know how this fits. I like how I use this. I like it in deck A, deck B. That just doesn't seem to be the case this season. And it's felt like that kind of in some ways the last couple of seasons. Like you've got Scarlet Spider. But those seasons, those cards are fewer and far between. Like, yes, Scarlet Spider doesn't really have a lot going for it, but Aranya did. And Aranya fit into a home. It didn't take long for that to be found. So
Yeah. Yep.
now I transitioned from this into probably one of the better spotlight cards out there. This is so far this month. I don't know about you, but this is my favorite spotlight variant out of the cards
Yeah, it
that are
looks
out
cool.
there.
Yeah.
But in that turn, it comes along with some other cards that we'll go into. But this is another Andrea Gardino. I think this is probably his best of the month. The Gore is fine, but this one's really good. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. These are cards that I probably won't see much anymore unless the spotlight caches knock it out of the park. Because I used to always go into this, but this involves, you're going to have to get kind of lucky pulling the initial card, right?
Yep.
So, and if you don't, then you're going into 2 and 3, and then you're going to pull the card. And then do you want to spend more to end up getting free tokens, 1,000 tokens at some point if you have the other card that's still in there? So it's a lot of things that you have to figure out. I haven't been getting a lot of these spotlights lately, unless I get lucky and one key the original.
Yeah.
Then every now and then I'll be like, okay, I one key the original if I want it. If I want the other ones, I'll go back and try to get them now.
Yeah.
Because then you'll get the other one. You'll get this second one in its place. But yeah, I don't know. They're kind of a hard sell now unless they're really good. This is really good. It's a really good spotlight variant, but also, how good's the card going to be?
Exactly. You've got that combined with the Annihilus, which is fine, I guess.
Annihilus is not played. Nobody plays the card right now. It's not played at all. There was a time when this card was everywhere. With the Sentry and Annihilus decks are everywhere. It's not played anymore. So again, cool variant, but it does have the variants I have for it are already pretty cool anyway. And again, I look at it from that standpoint. It's like cards like this and cards in bundles. Is the card played? If it's not, I don't know that I'd bother with it.
And it's frustrating because I see the benefit of a card like Annihilus. I see there being a lot of good to be able to play him in. You put him in the package with Sentry, you put one of the goblins in with him, you put him in with Hood. There is a lot that you can do and have big power swings, and people just aren't doing it. And I don't know if that's just because there's so much bounce going around, because there's nothing worse than tossing down a goblin and seeing someone
Mhm.
just pick it back up with beast. I would like to see a meta where he does come back in. I'm assuming probably if Galactus gets big again, we might see a little bit more of this. But for now, yeah, it's tough. Unless they make some dramatic changes, it's interesting the cards that they're choosing to put in these spotlights. Every now
Yep.
and then they'll have a theme and it'll match a theme. I haven't seen that in a bit, and I don't see that here. I'm trying to figure out what the through line is between Fenris Wolf and the next card that we're going to talk about, Werewolf by Night, and Annihilus. Like I guess Werewolf works in like the Sentry package. You're hopping him around and you're bouncing stuff, but I don't know. It just seems easier to not play something like Werewolf by Night if you're gonna do bounce. Like just go with a
Yeah.
traditional bounce. Like why
Yeah.
why go through this? And again,
He's
it's
yeah, that's the only card he shows up in is bounce, or the only deck rather.
yeah.
Yeah, for the
And
most part.
he makes bounce worse. Like I've seen Glazer
Yeah.
talk about this, and I've watched him play games, and I know Glazer is a skilled bounce player, and I can tell you right now, I haven't seen Werewolf be in a situation to where he has been better in a bounce deck than just focusing on your bounce.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, maybe he makes a comeback when Gore is around because he's going to want the on reveals. So who
Yeah.
knows? It's weird, like I don't, yeah, there's really the caches you think that they put, and here I just had one of the people on my Twitter come out and ask me why aren't the other celestials being put in, or in spotlight caches. We've only seen Thena, and that's
Yeah.
true. He's right. Where is Gilgamesh? Where the other ones aren't in the caches, but yet Werewolf's been in a few now
Yeah.
recently. So I don't know. I know people have asked them, and this was the answer I gave him. I'm like, well, the answer that they give is they don't have the art for it, where that they're just not getting the artwork for it, for certain cards. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is. It doesn't seem like you would think there'd be cohesion, but it doesn't seem like there's cohesion. In fact, a lot of times we've talked about this before. A lot of times in a bad week where the card is bad, they'll put good cards in with it. So just to get you to want to get it. So I don't know. It is really a mystery to me how you would think they'd be on like a timer of sorts. Like if they came out 4 or 5 months ago, they'd be on the kind of on the clock where that they're going to come back, like Phaistos. A lot of people probably wouldn't mind getting Phaistos.
Yeah.
He's pretty good in certain decks. So and where are they? But that's the thing. I really don't see a correlation at all with Fenris Wolf and Werewolf. I mean, what is it? Because they're both wolves?
Yeah,
like,
I guess, but then why Annihilus? Yeah.
it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Like the cache itself doesn't make sense, and the cache isn't appealing.
No.
It's not appealing with either one of these cards right now. So
Yeah.
again, you're going to feel bad if you get screwed and you get stuck getting all of them, because they may not necessarily be cards you're even going to want to play. So yeah, it's I don't know. I'm not sure how they do that, but that's just one of the little kind of gripes that I would love to see a different system with the way that they are choosing spotlight caches. So, but who knows?
And if you're going to get a spotlight for Fenris, let's be honest, there is a very good one coming up in that first week. We've got it's ridiculous. Like it is insane the variants that are coming out here. Like the Fenris Wolf by Victor Faro is unbelievably good. Like that is a ridiculously good card. I'm sitting here thinking that, as much as I like the Spotlight variant, this one's pretty good. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's cool. Look, I mean, the art's great.
Yep.
Yeah, the art's great for it. Yeah, no doubt, the art's good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Again, it's all kind of up in the air on how good the card's going to be. So
Yep. This might be a week where I just use my tokens and call it at that.
yeah.
And The Kyara is just part of a bundle that we'll discuss in a minute. I don't know if Kyara has any really good variants at all. Like her first spotlight is fine, but I didn't love that one. Like
Yeah.
I've got the Alex Horley one and it's like, okay, sure. But this one is just kind of whatever. I know the bundle is a good deal, but I don't know. It's a pass for me if you want my honest opinion.
Yeah, Kyra is another card that's not really played unless you're playing Zoo.
Yeah. And even
Um,
then, like
yeah, it's just a card that's not really played very much. So far, one of Kyra's favorite things of mine is the Galactus card, ironically, and it's not even a Kyra, but Kyra's on that. I, but
That's
yeah,
true.
I don't know. They're both. It's another card where, again, it's just it's not a card that is extremely relevant. Now, I don't know. Maybe they were thinking it would be good with Surtur, which
Yeah.
I did see some people playing her in Surtur decks, and I saw the
Yeah.
relevance behind it. It is better than maybe playing an armor because she then protects everything.
Yeah.
Everything's protected, including your ones. So if anybody does have a Killmonger and wipes out a bunch of your ones, or let's say you're playing a Thanos Surtur deck, it's a good play to have in your deck.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, you're right. I've seen cards with better art. No offense to any of the artists because they all do a tremendous job.
Yeah.
But I've seen Kyra cards with better art, and I already have a couple that are. So
Exactly. So like why?
Why?
yeah, yeah, yep.
I just don't get it. The next day, we actually have 3 variants. What I am thrilled about is that 2 of these are only 700 gold. The Rogue, the Sweeney Boo, is 700 gold, and the Lemon Art Hope Summers is 700 gold. And I just noticed something about the Hope Summers you had showed me with the Jessica Jones before. This is a nod to that other Jessica Jones with the snap behind it. And I think this is a darn good Hope Summers, if you want my honest opinion.
Oh yeah, she's got the Snap magazine too. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I just noticed that. There must be a whole series of those coming out. It might be with the women. Then they might be doing this. Might be like magazines, like a woman's magazine where they are having the women pose for. That's kind of cool. Yeah, there is a Jessica Jones one that was data mined.
Yeah.
As well with that. So that's kind of neat. It's like a magazine cover. I kind of like it. Yeah, it's cool.
It's different, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Sweeney Boo Rogue is really good. It's what I like about this one is it's different than most of the other Rogue variants that are out there. Still has her traditional green coloration. The colors are good. They pop. For 700 gold, I think this is a nice one. If you don't have a good Rogue variant, I think this is probably one of the best rare variants that are out there for her.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I have many Rogue variants. I had the one from the animated thing that they did way back in the day.
Right.
I have her.
Yeah, the hero one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The hero variant, yeah.
And then the Jessica Jones is part of one of the bundles that we're going to talk about, and it's fine, I guess. I don't know. I
kind of plain. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one that's coming out with her in the magazine is better than this one.
That one plus the David Mack one, which is probably one of my favorite variants in the game, is just so good. I never play it, but the second I saw it, I was like, I need that one. I have met David Mack. He is a very good artist, and I like his art very, very much.
I like the comic book one from her, which is the comic book cover one of one of the more recent Jessica Jones series. I didn't really read her much at all until I watched her series on Netflix, which I really enjoyed, especially the first season with Purple Man. It was just really, really good. But let's see if I could find it. This is one of the this one here. Let's see if I can see. It may not show up on. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Alex Maleev one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that one. I think that one's really, really good. That's only a rare.
Yeah, and it's literally a comic book cover. She's throwing out her business card on the front, and it says Alias Investigations on the front of it. Yeah, that's probably my favorite one. I don't have many of her. I literally only have the Dan Hip. I have that one, and I have a Pixel. They're the only 3 variants of her that I have.
Because the thing is,
So
all the other ones are super rares, and that's the one
they
thing
are.
is neither of us are anywhere near super rare complete. So
No, yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
but yeah, this one, the David Mack one, I just looked it up. I might put it in post. It's really good. It's the one where she's got her coat on. I don't know why I thought Snowball. She's holding her camera. And she's got her winter coat on, and just
Mm,
the colors on it. I love his watercolors. I love his
yeah.
style, the way he draws. He's just phenomenal as an artist, and he does the art
Yeah.
and the color as well. So I that one is the one that I'm going to rock until the end of time. I like the Snap one. I took a look at that one. I may include that in here as well. It's fine, like it's good. That one is more almost the MCU variant of her because it looks like the actress who plays her, whose name is escaping me right now. But yeah,
Oh man,
yes,
she lived
yep.
literally like she lives she grew up rather, not lives. She
Oh,
grew up rather about maybe an hour from me in Pennsylvania.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kristen Ritter.
Ritter.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
magic of Google.
Yeah. Yeah, she grew up in a little town. I think in Pennsylvania. That wasn't that far away.
And on to the 26th, where we have Joe and I are both very excited about this because we're stupid and we have all of the rare variants. Is the album that's coming out that is all 700 gold variants. Some of them are really good, some of them are okay. But I would say, considering it has been a long, long time since we have gotten any of the 700 gold variants, I am 100% on board with this. I think some of these, especially the Eliath, the Cosmo's decent. I love that the Dracula is holding the blood bag.
Blood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Doom
But
eating turkey's funny. I mean,
yeah.
they're all kind of funny. The Eliath is hilarious with the cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hilarious. And yeah, a lot of these are really, really good. I want the death one. That's the one. Well, you have to complete the album to get the death
Yes.
one. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
And then
gonna be good
speaking
though.
of,
Like I said, we'll be for Nick and I, we're both able to pop open caches and get these, which is kind of nice.
yep.
So
Better than
um,
avatars, better than titles. That is
I
for
agree.
darn sure.
I
But
agree. Yes.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think the
these are all
death is
just
great.
yeah, they're all fun, man. They're
Yep.
all fun. Death eating tacos. Yeah, I mean they're all just fun variants,
Yep.
and sometimes fun variants are just good, right?
Yep.
And so and Jeff is probably a comic book page if I had to
Yeah.
guess, or a caption from a comic because it looks just like Jeff is drawn in comics.
Mm-hmm.
And there are many scenes in Jeff comic books where he's eating or he's, things like that. So I wouldn't doubt that came right out of a comic book.
Well, because that's the company that did that one. That's all Wild Blue.
Mm. Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. Let me see.
It's very, very close. I know to some of the stuff that I've seen with Jeff in comics.
And him.
It could be.
I'm intrigued, but I will try and find out some information. But speaking of, that's a nice transition into the album itself. So it's Even Heroes Get Hungry. The currency value is terrible. The bundle value or the album value is okay. You've got the 12 cards here, and the reward is the death. And we'll go into the rewards now. These all release on the 26th. So it'll be a Wild Blue takeover. I'm assuming it'll be the 26th and the 27th that we will see these in the shop. But the rewards are you get a new avatar, the Death Avatar for 3, 2,000 credits for 6, Food Fight for 9, and Doom is Supreme for getting all 12 of them.
People like the Doom one.
They do. I'm looking forward to it. And I like that you don't need to collect all of them for the card itself. Now, probably due to that being a Series 3 card, because I know with Eliath, you have to have the full lot of 12 for the album. And some of the other ones, the cards are higher up on the, rewards track because they are higher series cards. The more I think about it, it's actually a little bit challenging. You and I are in a very unique spot compared to some of the other, there's a couple of the creators that are also 700 gold complete. But it puts us in a weird spot because we'll get them by just opening caches. These will be the first ones that we get. But normal people might not see these for a very long time. And that's, that's a little bit of a bummer. There are some really good ones in here. I think the one that I dislike the most is the X-23. I keeps being drawn back to that, and I'm just kind of like, oof, I don't know. There's something about it that's that's bugging me. Everyone else I think is decent, but that X23, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I agree. It is a little weird.
Yeah.
It is a little weird.
But hey, we'll get them for free. Hopefully
Yep.
people will be able to get these easily, and they're appealing enough that, at least not a ton of stuff is locked behind them. So the 2,000 credits requiring 6, that's about on par. So
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. And then moving on to bundles, we have this week. We've got the oh, interesting. I just realized we had the Jessica Jones that's part of a bundle. I don't know if that one was properly data mined. Give me a second because I want to check that out. I may need to adjust my expectations on that one because I know some stuff changed. Oh, and we've also got another web shop weekly that's starting on the 19th. There is a Moon Knight bundle that I know I did not see this when I was looking. It's a $10 Moon Knight bundle.
Okay.
And it's a decent value one as well. Fix that. Well, wait, are we getting 2 bundles on the same day? That doesn't make sense. Oh, yeah. Apparently we're getting 2 bundles on the same day. They don't usually do that, do they?
Maybe because it's around Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. The Jessica Jones ones is actually, it's tough because it's like, that's the best bundle that they've released in a while. It's great numbers.
1,700 credits. That's a lot. Yeah.
It's a weird number too. So I don't know if that's
Well,
just,
now it also kind of makes sense as to why they buffed it.
yeah, actually it does. Yeah, that makes a whole bunch of sense. Now, for the bundles, we have starting out on the 19th, we've got the Mechanical Madness bundle, the Justin Fields Ultron with 1,200 gold and 2,000 collector's tokens for $30, and it's decent value. 154 is standard. It's a little bit lower than I think I'd really like to see.
Yeah, I mean, I look at this as like, well, are the tokens worth it for you? That's really what it is. Are
Yeah,
the tokens worth it? The gold is lower than usual. Again,
yeah,
like I said, with these other ones, and is it worth it for the tokens? That's what you're gonna have to ask yourself about this. Ultrons, there's tons and tons of Ultrons. So there's a lot of variants for him, and a lot of people have cool variants for Ultron. So yeah, I don't know. It's while the value says it's good, it depends on how much you value tokens. So
yep. And it's not a ton of gold that buys you one super rare variant, and I don't know. I think there are other bundles, some of the token, not the Token Tuesdays, but the premium mystery packs that are a bit better. We
yep,
didn't mention those just because most of them are not the greatest value, and if they are, we will bring them up, but they're under 130% for the bundle value, so it's generally not in your best interest to spend on them. These
yeah,
are the bundles. If you're gonna do it, this is the way to do it, and it's just smarter that way. But
yep,
the second bundle, this is a web shop one, so you're only going to be able to see this on the Marvel Snap New Verse site. This is a better value than the previous one. You're getting, the only thing you're missing is the tokens, but you're getting 1,600 credits, a Moon Knight variant, and a Moon Knight avatar, as well as boosters for Moon Knight. If you are building towards the reward track on the web shop, you've got this one available to you. Then there is the monthly spend, I guess the second monthly spend bundle with the Kyera at $75 for a variant that I am not a huge fan of. I mean, it's fine. It's
yeah.
decent.
We talked about this before. I
Yeah.
mean, is yeah, is she worth it? That's the thing. Yeah. I mean, the credits and the gold are good here, but I would. There's no way I would to go that kind of cash for anything like that. Especially that card. The card has to be good. If
Yep.
you do something like this in these big bundles, the card has to knock it out of the park. And if it's not a card that's played often, then no one's going to go for it.
Yep.
So
Agreed. I think this is another one of those that's probably just a skip.
yeah, for
But
sure.
if you love the card, if you love the variant, then it's an okay value. It's just nothing to write home about. 157 is okay.
Yeah,
This one, I think it's lesser value, but I think both the variants are really good. The Helen G stature and the Helen G Squirrel Girl, I really, really like. you're getting the gold. You're reducing the value by about 7%, but you're getting that for $25. So I think it's decent.
Yeah. Again, I have so many cool Squirrel Girl variants. I have that zombie one that I use all the time still.
I'm still
And
mad I didn't get
statue.
that one.
Yeah, that's a cool one. That one and the Blue Marvel one was a cool bundle. But yeah, and stature, who again, not Squirrel Girl sees play, like I said, in Zoo and in other decks even, but stature doesn't see much play either. So yeah, I don't know. The gold is nice. That's I think the biggest attraction for this one is the gold is kind of nice. So.
Yep. And then the last bundle of the month is the really good value one. You're spending $10. You're getting 300% bundle value, and the currency value is whatever, but you know, it's a fine Jessica Jones variant. I found the last couple that they have released have all been kind of just fine. Like I think the last one I was not a fan of. But you don't have to get it. It's, you're spending $10 to get 1,700 credits and Jessica Jones boosters. She did get recently buffed, so maybe.
Yeah, imagine that.
Yeah, right. Shocker.
Imagine that.
Shocker.
Mm.
But that's it for the bundles. Like I said, there's nothing on the other ones that are really to write home about. Don't do the Token Tuesdays unless you absolutely need to. Do not buy the booster bundles. Like that is you don't do that. Just don't do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially what I will stand out is there is one that I think is coming out on the 17th to the 18th. Hopefully we won't get this out in time because it's a bad value. It's $20 for 1,500 gold and a premium mystery variant. The currency value is 94%. Like if you're seeing the red, unless it's a killer variant, just pass. You'll find other ones. Just be patient. There's one that's coming out on the 21st. That's 120%. And for $15, you get 1,800 credits. I hate it when they do this. It's like they're testing their audience. It's like, well, do people want gold? What if we give them gold, and gold has more value now, so we can increase the cost of it and give you less value? And that's whatever. I have my feelings on that. The last topic we have this week is a relatively quick one. It is the hot location. It's not a terrible one. It is Muir Island that's coming up on the 24th. Nobody really cares about this one. It's not an annoying negative location. It benefits some decks, but I don't think it benefits them in a way that I think is unruly. I know you are not a fan of hot locations, Joe. We talked a little bit about this one. I don't know if you have any feelings one way or another with it.
I mean, it's not going to hurt me if I'm playing the Toxic deck because I have Luke Cage on the deck anyway.
That is true.
So that might actually add to that. It might actually be a good one to play that deck. A lot of people may actually do that, but a lot of people are playing Luke Cage now a lot more anyway. So I even saw some Hella decks coming back into the fray. Of course, they all play Luke Cage now. So yeah, this isn't that big of a deal. I don't like it. I don't mind the new ones. I don't mind the new ones so much. I don't like it when you constantly get repeat ones of the old ones and they have them in weeks where they just shouldn't have them. Yeah. Like I've said this a bunch of times, hot location should be on week 2 and week 3. Or if it's a 5-week month, week 2 and week 4. That's when they should be. They should never have one at the beginning and never have one at the end because that's when people are really going for everything. Yeah. They're going for infinite on the first week. And they're going for it on the last week. They're trying to get to where they want to go. So hot locations to me, I get it. I know that they want to spotlight certain locations and all that kind of stuff. I get that. But I just never agreed with it. I don't think that you should have to make a deck around a location to be able to level up. I don't like that. So yeah.
And you know how they can solve that? Bring back something like high voltage. Just keep it in the meta. And you just keep it as a game mode.
And then you won't have to play it during that hot location time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I think that's all we have for this week. Joe, what else you got going on this week? Anything exciting? Who's coming up on Snap Decisions this week?
Oh man, geez, eventually Red Eye Jedi because the poor guy and I just can't get together between his work and my work. But I don't know. It'll probably be a lighter week because I went crazy this past week. I had Snap on This all on the show on Monday. I did my regular show on Tuesday. I had what am I missing? Oh, I did the OTA thing on Thursday. So it was a big week. And then of course you and I had the one on Wednesday. So yeah, so I was doing a lot this week. This week will probably be a lot calmer. So it might just be, well, I probably Red Eye Jedi, and then it might just be my podcast on Tuesday. Probably will be it. And then the following week is cool. I have a date set with Regis Kilbin. So I'm pretty excited to talk to Regis. I've always I've watched him since the very start of me playing Snap, him and Binks. And I really, because of that, I just really enjoy their content. Regis, to me, I've never met him face to face, but he just seems like a really fun dude. And his content is just fun to watch. He seems like he enjoys playing the game to have fun. And so yeah, so I have that coming up on the 25th. So that's exciting for me as a fan, and just to kind of talk to him a little bit more about a lot of stuff. But I've always got things in the works. I have other people that I'm talking to that to try to see if I can get them on the show, because they're people that I admire, that are creators, and people that I would like to chat with. So yeah.
Sounds good. And if anyone's watching this, you probably already watched Joe, but if you don't, watch Joe and give him your 2 cents. He is a phenomenal person to talk to. He's super easy to just converse with, and he's very passionate, as you can see from the last little bit. So if you're a creator out there that has stumbled across this, maybe I need to clip this part out, get in touch with Joe. He is a phenomenal interviewer. Get on his show. I'm sure he would be thrilled to have you. I know some future prospects that you have coming up that I think are going to be really, really fun. And I think people are.
Yeah. If some of them work out, and I know, listen, it's hard sometimes because some of them are very, very busy. Like I said, Regis is very busy doing videos daily and stuff like that. And a lot of creators are. But when I get a chance to do that, we talk about everything. We'll talk about everything from what they played before all this, to what they did in their streams, to comic books, to Marvel stuff, to video games. My God, me and Flash X sat down and had almost a 3-hour conversation. It was almost all video games.
Yep.
So, but you know what? The listeners enjoy it. It's kind of delving into some of the things that their favorite creators don't get to talk about when they're playing Snap all the time. Yep. Which is kind of cool. So they get a little bit of an insight on what their favorite creators do outside of doing what they do. So yeah, I enjoy it. I just like getting to know people, and that's all it is.
Yep. I'm all for that. And depending on how this goes, hopefully we'll talk before. We've got about 10 days. Yeah. So when is Thanksgiving in the U.S.? Being in Canada, I've all forgotten the dates and stuff
next Thursday.
So this coming Thursday, or the Thursday after this Thursday?
I'm sorry, this coming. Yeah, it is this coming now.
Goodness.
I keep forgetting today is Saturday. Yeah.
And then that means Black Friday then, doesn't it?
It does. Yes. No, wait, let me make sure I got my calendar right, because this month is weird. But it's 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Because Thanksgiving usually falls like on the final Thursday of the month, but this is a 5-week month. So it's 2 weeks away. Next week is still good, and it's on the 28th, actually, 28th of the month. So
all right. So next week we can talk about your plans for therapy after Black Friday. I know it's your 36, but maybe having a little bit of that lined up for the day afterwards.
Oh man, therapy or just sleep. That's usually what it is. I really, really usually need those days off that I have after that week.
Yeah.
Monday and Tuesday, just to get out of there after that week, because it's insane. Yeah.
All right, Joe. Well, have a wonderful rest of it. See, I've lost the ability to talk now. I'm tired and hungry and all that jazz.
Yep.
Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk with you next week. And we'll be in touch. We always talk all the time, so we'll see each other around. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us again. Hopefully, we'll have this one out before Fenris launches, and we can be ahead of the game. That would be really nice. All right, y'all. All the information that we've talked about is down in the comments below, in the description below. I need to go eat, and apparently I need to have a nap. So have a wonderful week. We will see you in the next one. Thanks all.
Peace.